It is time for the Unmitigated Gall's Audacious Interview, one-on-one with someone in the media who is making it happen. With me today, a woman with more connections than a spider web. If you look up prepared in the dictionary, it's because she's already marked it with a reminder of how long you've got to read it. This is a lady who's been behind the scenes and in the ears of some of the biggest names in TV. A proud Delta, a mother, a FAMU rattler. Your favorite producer's favorite producer, Denise Hendricks. Denise, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited and excited to be here.
It's been a while. It's been maybe a couple years.
Yeah, a couple of COVID pandemic years.
Yeah. So we last worked together on HLN, CNN Headline News,
Yes.
Morning Express with Robin Meade.
Yes.
So tell us where you are now. Of course, I know you're on MSNBC, but tell us where you are now and how long you've been with your new shows.
So I'm currently with MSNBC. I'm an executive producer for 2 weekend political opinion shows. One airs on Saturday, The Cross Connection with Tiffany Cross from 10 a.m. to noon. And then on Sunday, The Sunday Show with Jonathan Capehart, also from 10 a.m. to noon. And I've been here for about a little over a year now. It's been a little over a year.
Okay. And things are going well. I mean, a year is like that, you find out where you are and things seem to be good, right?
Yeah, it's been a great experience so far. This is my first time being an executive producer nationally at a national cable outlet. So it has been a learning experience, but it has been a rewarding one. And I love the stories that we're covering. I love the shows that we're doing. I love my team and the team that I've been able to build this year. And I'm excited about, what we have coming up with the midterms, just with everything going on, over the next couple of months. It's going to be an exciting couple of months.
Yeah. So basically midterms, if I didn't catch you now, I wasn't going to catch you.
Right.
It's going to be crazy.
We're going to be busy.
And you're based out of DC now, right? You were in New
Yes.
York and now you're in DC. What goes with that?
I was in New York working right out of 30 Rock, the famous 30 Rock Rockefeller Center. And now I am in DC. I've only been in DC for about a month and some change, not that long at all. But It's great to be here at the NBC Bureau in Washington because I get a chance now to actually interact face to face with my anchors who are actually based out of DC, even though the show was boothed out of New York or executed as the director, TPM, everybody is in New York, but the talent is here and the crew is here. And some of the team is here too, but the majority of the tech crew and writers are in New York.
I love how you said director and the TPM. He's using the insider's language.
The insider's language. I'm sorry, I forget. Yes.
No. This is
everybody who executes the show.
We aspire to be insider's show, so I appreciate that. I mean, and you've met a lot of people throughout your career, and what I love about you, and I remember at your going away party, which may have been virtual. A lot of people who were, giving their kudos to you talked about, how you, either linked them to a job or you mentored them in some kind of way. So, I love that about you. And we're going to get to the mentorship. But first, talk about how we got here. So you went to FAMU. So tell me from FAMU to your first, let's call it your first, which you would consider your big gig, whatever that is.
Okay. So I will say that I attended Florida A&M University. My father was a rattler, and so he really wanted me and my brother both to go to FAMU, and so that's how we ended up at FAMU. Had a great experience there. I was a journalism major all throughout college. I did internships in television, newspaper, and radio, just trying to figure it out, and then decided to go the television producer route because in the early 90s, there weren't that many Black producers. And it was something I really wanted to do. So decided to pursue that. And it really took me about a year to find a job after graduation in the business. I was actually doing something else for a year, then finally got back in the business and then started my television career at WCTV in Tallahassee, Florida as an associate producer.
Tallahassee.
In Tallahassee. And from there, I worked in local news markets in Florida, Atlanta. Went to
You did
CNN,
WXIA in Atlanta, right?
Fox 5 and WXIA. I worked at
Okay.
both. Fox 5 was my first job in Atlanta, and then went over to WXIA. And at XIA, I was actually producer and then executive producer. Then went to CNN on the domestic side of CNN and did that for not very long. I was only there for like 6 or 7 months, and then I got the opportunity to go work for Oprah. And that was,
Hey.
yes, got the opportunity to go, and that was during the car season. Actually interviewed the year of the You Get a Car, You Get a Car, You
Oh,
Get a
you
Car.
get a car? That's you?
Yeah, I interviewed that same week that they taped that show.
Wow.
So
So that was
then
around what? The holidays, right? Or I guess it would be
it
the
was in the
months leading
fall.
up.
Yeah, it was in
Okay.
September. Yeah, they taped that show in September. So I did that
Well,
September 2004. It's a long time ago. Long time ago.
well, I
So,
mean, we got to stop you right there. You can't just bring Oprah and move on to the next question. So you were interviewing during the You Get a Car, You Get a Car, and then how long did she continue with her show after that?
let's see, that was 2004.
Uh huh.
And then I was with the show for 5 years. And then the show ended 2 years after that.
You got to talk about working with Oprah. Tell me about. I think, of course, I asked you before. We got to talk about it again, though. What stood out to me is the preparation.
Yeah.
And I'm sure on a show like that, the pre-planning, the pitch meetings have got to be intense and thorough.
Yeah, you definitely have
So,
to be prepared. You definitely have to know your stuff. And I mean, one of the great things about working for Oprah is that it makes you think about why you're doing something. So, I mean, a lot of people have heard her say this, in the public is that, what's your intention? What's your point? And she would give us that mantra too when we were pitching stories. So you really have to think about what is my intention for pitching this story? Why am I pitching it? Who would be good guests on this show? And what is the audience going to get out of it as well? So, I mean, that's one of the biggest takeaways I had from working, at the show for 5 years was, what are we doing? Who's benefiting? What's the viewer benefit? What can change or transform someone's life by what you're pitching and what you're trying to get across to the audience? So it was great. I learned so much, traveled so much, made so many good friends that I still talk to today.
I
It was
bet.
just a good experience overall. I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world. It was a good 5 years of learning and growing as a producer, as a writer. Um, you know,
Favorite Oprah moment? I know you're not going to get me into the good stuff because
no.
you're a conscious executive producer, but
Yeah.
give me a good Oprah show moment.
Hey, I will still say this. One of my favorite shows, it was one of the first shows I worked on there, it was a Wildest Dream surprise for this barista, um, Bernadette, who lived in the Chicago area and had actually adopted, I think, 4 or 5 of her sister's kids who were in Minnesota. Her sister had fallen on some hard times. And instead of splitting up all the kids, she took all these kids in, and she already had kids of her own. So I think there may have been like, I don't know, 7, 8, maybe 9 kids, somewhere
Wow.
in that vein. And she took this on and she was a Starbucks barista. Now you know,
How, Sway? How?
how do you even do that? In the end, anyway, with the surprise, she was such a good-natured, sweet, kind individual who was willing to open up her home, which really wasn't that big, and take in these kids so they could stay together and be with it. Anyway, make a long story short, we ended up surprising her with a home. And
Oh,
so, yeah, it was amazing. It was an amazing, and then we got to follow the story along. Like, as the story went along, like we did it over a year. We had a big surprise for the kids at like Toys R Us. Then we got the big house. Then they did we got scholarships for the kids when they go to college, all of that stuff.
awesome.
So it was really a good, heartwarming story that, in the end just turned out really well. But there were a lot of really, really good, meaningful stories. But that was one that was just that really touched me.
Did you meet any celebrities while working on Oprah's show that you liked?
All of them. They're all great. They're all
She's
great.
such a pro, ladies
They're
and
all
gentlemen. You're
great.
not going to
Yeah.
trip Denise up. So earlier today, I met one of your former colleagues. Her name is Alex Ebanks. Y'all work together on the MoNique show. She's now in PR. But I was just saying that meeting her, I was like, it's God. I gotta ask Denise about the MoNique show. Tell me about some of your favorite moments from that time.
I absolutely, I mean, I loved working on the Oprah show. I really loved all my jobs, really, to be honest with you, but I absolutely loved working on the MoNique show. It was so much fun. It was absolutely a good time. It was, first of all, I mean, it was just a late night talk show that we taped in Atlanta out of the Turner Studio building, Techwood, that they call Techwood. And BET, had decided they were going to do this late night talk show with MoNique. And actually, this was the first job I had after I left the Oprah show. And I loved just being in comedy, being around writers in the writers' room, hanging out with the comedy writers. And I loved the guests that we were booking. There were so many. It was just a lot of fun. And then having musical acts, I learned so much about the industry and
a lot of
licensing
rappers.
Music. And yeah, all of that. It was great. It was great. I had a good time working on the show. I loved it.
That was, I think, that was back when BET was really still going for it. So they had that. And I think a couple years later, they had TJ Holmes, his show. And, I think but now, cable's changing, which we all know. Yes. But yeah, at that point, BET was still going for it. They were really trying to throw their hat in there.
It was good. It was really good. It was a good time. MoNique was, she was a lot of fun. It really was a fun show to work on. And it was only on for 2 seasons, but I could have worked on that show much longer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you brought up MoNique, and like anyone, we've been talking a lot about legacies this week with the Queen. MoNique's legacy is complicated too, but it sounds like you're saying you had nothing but positive experiences with MoNique.
Yeah, I had a good time working on the show. That was right around this time. If you remember, the year before was when Precious came out.
Yes.
And so there was a lot of just all of the drama surrounding Precious. But the year that we started the MoNique show was when she won the Oscar. So it was kind of exciting to, be a part of the show and be a part of her team when she was nominated and then eventually won the Oscar. But she was great to work with, and, there have been things in the media that have been said, over the years, but I never had any issues with her. I enjoyed working for her. I really did. I
had forgotten the timing of that. So she had started the late night show. She's in the middle of the show. Then she gets nominated and wins the Oscar. And then how long does the show continue after that?
And it was another year and a half.
Okay. Awesome. Well, yeah, we wish MoNique luck. I hear things are turning around. I heard that she might be having a Netflix special coming. So,
Yeah, Netflix special. I think she did something with Lee Daniels recently too.
So they reconciled.
Yeah, so I think it's gonna be great. I think whatever's coming out of her is gonna be great. She's so talented. She's a great actress. She's a funny comedian. Whatever you see, things that you hear, if you really know her and get to know her, she's a good person.
And when I met you, it had to be around 2000, maybe 12 or
yeah.
And then so you came over to CNN Headline News, and you were still had your hands in side projects. I think you were still doing reality show pilots and pitch and stuff. So that makes me think, what was your favorite pitch or segment or show that just for some reason you knew it could have been great, but it just didn't make it?
Well, here's something interesting that I tell you about. I want to tell you, this is a funny story, and it's funny coming from me because I'm very kind of straight-laced. But I worked on a pilot for a show about girls who were dancers in strip clubs in Atlanta. I worked on a pilot.
Yeah, I remember.
And they were trying to reconcile if they were going to get out or not. So I worked on that. Am I going to get out of the business? Why am I? And I remember doing all the interviews, setting up, talking to, and it was just so it was a whole nother side of a world that I had never. You know what I mean?
That show could do so well. Right now,
I've learned so much about the industry that I was Never thought. So I worked on that pilot and I thought, man, this is, this could be a really good show.
Yeah.
But it didn't go anywhere. I think it was timing. And then fast forward several years later, two things. Shantae Page, who is a friend of mine, had a show on, I don't know if it's Beyond, I think it was called The Pole or Beyond the Pole or something like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So then that show comes out and it's reality and it's kind of like similar. And then P-Valley.
Yeah.
Which I really like the show P-Valley.
Oh,
so,
you're reading my mind. I got a P-Valley question covered.
So, maybe we were just ahead of our time.
I think
with
so.
the idea and the concept,
And I think at that time you might have also pitched a show about like Little League football. And I remember watching a show that I used to watch. I forget the network, called like Friday Night Tykes or something similar, which was about like crazy Little League coaches and their Little League teams. And the entertaining part about it was, it was nice seeing some of these little beastly athletes, but the coaches, they were off the chain. You said you had a show that you were working on right like that. So it's just funny how timing works.
I was working on a show like that with my really good friend, Shannon Doyle Bell, who actually also was a producer on the MoNique show. So we would sit around and come up with concepts of shows to figure out who we were going to pitch it to, how we were going to get it, done while we were still working our day job. So Shannon and I came up with that concept. And I think eventually, she and another person kind of took it over and tried to pitch it out, but it never gained any traction. It's like a lot of people in this business, especially for shows and content that you want to come up, it's like there are a lot of similar ideas floating around.
Right.
And you see some of them, sometimes something gets picked up and then you're like, dang,
Trust me.
I've had a lot like that. So it's just getting it in the right hands at the right time.
Yeah.
It's a lot about timing.
Now, so like I said, around that time, 2013, 2014. So you're full-time at HLN, Morning Express. What was one of your favorite parts or moments from working on that show?
So I would say all of the Tums tailgate. When I first started working for Morning Express, I was doing a lot of field shoots and field producing. And I remember when we first had that, college football segment, going out every other weekend, flying to some city, and, working on features basically around these college campuses. I absolutely loved that. It was so much fun.
It had to be.
So I would say a lot of the features that I worked on Morning Express were a lot of fun. It was great.
And
great.
After
was great.
Ebony Griffin took it over, shout out Ebony, they went to Florida A&M.
Yes.
So I remember, that was a lot of fun. Shout out to Morning Express. Speaking of Morning Express, we work crazy hours. I'm sure you still work some crazy hours. Talk about work-life balance. I remember when Luke came into the picture. He 6 or 7 now, right?
He's 6 years old now.
Wow.
Yes.
But so I know how I try to manage it. You're an EP. How are you and I'm seeing your socials. You're out here in these streets. How are you managing the work-life balance?
Eric, I would say that I try very, very hard to be, when I'm with my son, to be engaged with my son. When we're having dinner, breakfast in the morning, when I'm taking him to school, and at night when I have to put him to bed, bath, reading stories. I try to be very, very engaged. But sometimes you're not always, especially if breaking news is going on or something is coming up or we have a guest fall through. And, I will tell you that my son does check me and he will say like, Mommy, you're on your phone too much. Mommy, you need to put your phone down. Mommy.
You're like, sorry, son, this is paying the bills right now.
Right. So I try to balance it all, but sometimes it's hard. So you do what you can. But I feel good about, how he's doing in school. I feel good about, the community that I built around him, even here, because I have family in the DC area. And I feel good about, just how he's growing up. He seems like a happy child. And I think that's the most important thing, that he's learning and growing and that he's happy and he feels safe and secure. So, he understands Mommy works a busy job And
Sorry,
it's
Luke.
funny. Sometimes we'll be sitting in there and he'll have something on and he'll look at me and he'll be like, I know you want to watch the news.
Yeah, my kids do not care. I was so happy when the pandemic was over and work from home was over because I could not be productive at home. But I remember, when Luke first came into your life, you were like, you got any tips? I'm like, Denise, I can't give you any tips. It's just, you just got to do it.
It's instinct.
Yep.
It's just instinct.
You'll work
you
it
just
out.
You take it day by day because every day is different with these kids.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Speaking of kids, boy, you were just like transitioning for me. I don't even have to do anything. Mentorship. You're a big mentor. You're mentoring professionals in the business, and knowing you, I'm sure you're mentoring people coming up. Why are you doing this? I've just started doing this, and I'm happy I'm doing it. But what made you start, and why is it important?
My dad was a big mentor, and he always, I saw him doing the mentoring when I was a kid, always giving back advice, giving money to people, just really having an investment in young people to help them grow and thrive and live. And I kind of picked it up from him, and also my mom too. She did the same thing too. And so that was, I think it was just kind of just rubbed off on me because my brother does it now too, that we really just want to see young people have an opportunity to live their best lives. I mean, I hate to be cliche about it, but I get a thrill out of helping people and giving them advice about the business and, about life in general. And that's why I do it. I do it because I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like I said, I did a panel discussion today, something that's new for me. And, it was a big room of high schoolers, but I was just thinking, if it's a couple kids in here that can glean something from me, I think it's worth it.
It's worth it. Yeah, you never know. I mean, my best mentee story is Elise Roberts, who, I mentored Elise. I don't know if you remember her from
Of course,
from
yeah, I
HLN.
remember Elise, yeah.
Yeah, I've known Elise since she was in the 10th grade. We were matched. I was in the Marietta Roswell chapter of Delta, one of the chapters I joined when I moved to Atlanta, and they had this mentee program at Marietta High School, and we ended up being matched together when she was in the 10th grade, and so we became friends, and of course I exposed her to television, and then she ended up going into the business.
Wow.
I mean, like, how crazy is that? And then fast forward all those years later, I helped her get a job at HLN, and then she became not just a producer, but then was promoted to senior producer at on the CNN side.
Nice.
It's like a great story, right?
Shout out to Elise. I need to catch up with more of my CNN, HLN people.
Yes.
All right. Now, I love the kids, but something I really love, pop culture. I know I got to get you out of here soon, so I'm going to do a pop culture quiz. I know you're someone who's very tuned in, but I don't know how tuned in you are now that you're doing politics. So we're
right, exactly.
So I'm going to see what you're feeling, what you're not, and we'll just go from there. P-Valley or Succession?
P-Valley.
I knew it. Gossip.
But I do like Succession, but I'm just really into P-Valley. I feel it. Yeah.
No, my wife is too. I think once you're in it, like you're invested. So
you're invested.
I kind of get it. Gospel rap or old school church music?
Ooh, I got to go with old school church music.
I know. I like Denise, boy. She's big into the church. I know. Okay.
I like some gospel rap, but you know.
And how's Kurt Franklin still looking so good and so young? That dude is still skinny, still dancing. I think I saw him like drop it like Megan Thee Stallion the other day. I'm like, what is this dude eating?
Yes, it's true. But I do like some of the contemporary gospel artists. I like Tasha Cobbs Leonard, Jonathan McReynolds, Travis Green. I like them. They're good.
Atlanta or New York?
Oh, God, Atlanta.
Why? I mean, I know I love Atlanta, but
I like, what it is for me? It is the community feel. I'm biased because I lived there for so long, even at different times. And so I have, a base of friends and family and, my college friends, a lot of people in Atlanta. So I think New York is great to visit. And
same.
Great to visit. And great to visit.
Great to visit.
Great to visit. Yes.
One word reaction to Sheryl Lee Ralph's Emmy win. One word.
Phenomenal.
And when she was up there singing, I was like, all right.
Oh my God. It was so good. She blew me away. And we've had her on the show a couple of times. So I've gotten a chance to, talk to her in her ear in the control room, be like, hey, Soror,
Oh, yeah. You got to get her back.
She's amazing. She is, and always so positive. Her energy, her passion. Oh, I just love her. Love Shirley Ralph.
And it's great to see Black people win, at any stage in their career. But it's great seeing a younger Black woman, Quinta Brunson. I'm not gonna say putting on Shirley Ralph, but like giving her another opportunity, and the opportunity that kind of catapulted her to another level. So.
Oh yeah, it was great.
I love that,
and I love the show. Abbott Elementary. I love.
It's a great show. It should have beat Ted Lasso for best comedy. That's all I'm gonna say about it.
I love Abbott Elementary, and I love it because my mother was a teacher, and so I see some of Barbara Howard. I remember how my mom was. So,
if you've ever been to a Black school, the teachers like Shirley Ralph's character, the kind of chin up. The school's falling apart, but baby, we gonna make this happen. No complaining. You can read, you can write. So yeah, I love that. So that was more than one word, but hey, it was still good. All right, football or the halftime show?
If you're talking HBCUs, halftime show. If you're talking professional or college, the game.
Tyler Perry or Will Packer?
Oh my God, Will Packer.
FAMU
Rattler.
Exactly.
I knew
what she was going to say, folks. I just put it
Yeah, you knew what I was going to say. FAMU Rattler all day long.
Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram.
So you're not out here dancing and stuff?
No, I'm on there looking for content. That's the only reason I go and see if there are interesting stories or anything interesting on there.
All right, last question. You're a pro, Denise. You know the game and you know TV. If you're in charge with Will Smith's comeback, what would you have him do next?
Now, I'm not a crisis communications manager.
Well, you kind of are. If you're a TV producer on some level, you are a crisis manager.
That's so hard.
So right now is clearly the social media phase, right?
Yeah.
What would be... Let's get in Will Smith's team meeting.
He already did an apology, right?
He's done two,
He's done a couple of apologies, yeah.
And now he's putting out funny social media videos. What would you, as a TV producer, would like to see from him as his next project? I'm thinking, because he had some great YouTube series. I'm thinking a YouTube series is next. What would you like to see?
And a YouTube series on what? Some of his adventures, because I think that's what he does well. I think his travels around the world and his adventures. I mean, that's what I like. That's the phase that I like that he's in right now. I think he's a fantastic actor too. A wonderful actor. But I do like his travels and adventures.
So Denise, before I let you go, I appreciate you being on. Remind the people one more time, your shows, when to watch, where to watch.
Yes, it is. I'm executive producer of The Cross Connection with Tiffany Cross. It airs from 10 a.m. to noon on Saturday on MSNBC. And also the Sunday show with Jonathan Capehart, which airs from 10 a.m. to noon on Sunday on MSNBC.
Y'all better watch that. Midterms coming. Don't vote for Herschel now. All right.
Georgia. It's a lot. Y'all got a lot.
We got a lot on our plate, Georgia.
Yes.
Again, Denise Hendricks, thank you. I appreciate your time. Appreciate you on the Unmitigated Gall.
Thank you.